Hello everyone, and welcome to the Monk class version. Before we jump in though, I will just say the Monk has always been a very good martial class in D&D. Some of the abilities that you got were honestly pretty crazy, super good, and this is the 2014 version. 2014 version, there was not a lack of very good abilities, and so the Unearthed Arcana kind of coming out. I mean, I would say even with there were some things that kind of pushed the Monk even farther into the realm of being extremely good, and even some of the things that I saw in the UA kind of were things that I was like, I don't necessarily like that either, whether it be like the flavor of the feature or just kind of pushing the Monk into a realm that's kind of almost a little bit beyond what I feel like it should be, a little bit more overpowered than I think it should be. So I will say the Monk is one of the classes that I did add a couple things, and mainly I would say just like in terms of adjustments. They had a lot of really solid core class features, and I think that the Monk has a really good identity. I just think that some of the things that they added in the Unearthed Arcana as well as in 2014, I think that they just needed to be tweaked in a certain way, kind of rearrange the order, and I think overall you have a very solid class. And so I've added a couple things here and there, but overall it's pretty much just me kind of tweaking some of the things that they had, maybe cutting a couple things, adding a couple things. So kind of just a patchwork of a class from various sources here, but Monk is really good, and I think you'll like where it's at now. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Alrighty, so of course you have the Unearthed Arcana for reference up above. Oh man, I just realized that in the fighter I didn't reference that I had the 2014 Player's Handbook, which I do at least, I mean I had it in the fighter video, but I just didn't mention it. But I have it here with me. Above me is going to be the Unearthed Arcana, and then to this side of me, you're going to see my version of the Monk. So let's go and dive in. Jumping into it here, hit points are going to remain the same. Now, one big thing I did change in terms of saving throws, and kind of you'll see a couple of these things kind of throughout, but I really wanted to play into this kind of more, I would say, versatile and more kind of option focused Monk that you can play. I wanted it so that not only I mean the dexterity has always been a kind of a core Monk, like, hey, you know, Monks are usually the primary status to be dex, and they're usually more about finesse and quickness. But hey, I opened it up to where now if you want to be a strength based Monk, it is a little bit more intuitive for that, and it's a little bit more kind of more geared for that. There are options where you'll be able to actually use your strength instead of just your dex. You don't only have to be, you know, kind of hard lined in that dex kind of vein for the class. And so saving throws, strength or dexterity, you get to make a choice there. And wisdom, choose 2 from acrobatics, athletics, history, insight, perception, medicine, religion, sleight of hand, or stealth. A good lineup there. I added in so you can choose one type of artisan tools or a musical instrument. Just a little bit of flavor there, being able to kind of tie some proficiencies to some backstory stuff for your Monk. I think it makes sense for, you know, I mean, if you're in a monastery, or maybe you're just kind of a you know, solo life, or whatever the Monk, whatever the reason your character is a Monk. I feel like it does open up those avenues to, you know, that they probably had studied something, whether it's just a musical instrument to pass the time or something else. And so I wanted to open that up for the class. And then armor is going to be none. Weapons going to be simple weapons or martial weapons with the light property, so you have a little bit of specifications there. And then equipment is going to be in the same as the Unearthed Arcana, where you can either spend the amount of money you're given, or you can choose the to have the kind of lined up equipment selection that they have listed out for you in kind of below. So, all right, jumping into it here, let's go ahead and move into the class features here. Level 1, martial arts. Your practice of martial arts gives you mastery of combat styles that use your unarmed strike or monk weapon. A monk weapon is either a simple weapon or a martial weapon with a light property. You gain the following benefits while you are unarmed or wielding a monk weapon and you aren't wearing armor or wielding a shield. Bonus unarmed strike. You can make one unarmed strike as a bonus action. Dexterous attacks. You can use dexterity instead of strength for the attack and damage rolls of your unarmed strength and unarmed strikes and monk weapons. Additionally, you can use your dexterity instead of strength when attempting to grapple or shove a creature. Martial arts die. You can roll a d6 in place of the normal damage of your unarmed strike. This die changes as you gain monk levels, as shown in the martial arts column of the monk table. So kind of some key differences here is the martial arts die is no longer starting at a D4. It starts at a D6, which is a good kind of way to get the monk a little bit better off the gate here and keeping them, I would say, in the earlier stages of D&D, kind of above that curve a little bit, or at least more in line. Because, I mean, a lot of these other martials, if you're choosing your weapons accordingly, I mean, you can get a D8, D10, D12 potentially damage, and having the D4 just really draws back that power scale for the monk early on. So them making that adjustment, that was a UA adjustment that they did. Making that adjustment's a good idea. But yeah, additionally, the bonus action, you no longer have to take the attack action in order to be able to utilize the unarmed strike as a bonus action. You can now just do that. You know, say you use your action for something else completely, you can use a bonus action just to make one strike. That's not, dexterous attacks, of course, is just nice because now you can use dexterity when it comes to that kind of those kinds of attacks. All right, so moving on. Level 1, unarmed defense as well. While you aren't wearing any armor or wielding a shield, your base armor class equals 10 plus your dexterity and wisdom modifiers. Pretty awesome there. Level 1 is weapon mastery. Your training with your weapons allow you to use the mastery property of 2 kinds of weapons of your choice with which you have proficiency in. Whenever you get a monk level, you can replace one of your weapon mastery choices with a different one. I will say, okay, yeah. I believe weapon mastery was in the Unearthed Arcana for the monk, but I believe they switched it in the hard line 2024. I think they actually got rid of the weapon masteries for them, which I thought was kind of strange. I think all martial classes should have weapon masteries accessible to them. I think that just makes their overall tool set in combat and just utilizing martial weapons a lot more vast, and so I do really like that. Alright, moving on to level 2, martial focus. Your extreme focus and extensive martial training allows you to harness a well of extraordinary energy within yourself. Your access to this energy is represented by a number of focus points. Your monk level determines the number of focus points you have, as shown in the focus point column of the monk table. You can spend these points to feel various martial focus features. You start knowing 3 such features: flurry of blows, patient defense, and step of the wind. You learn more martial features as you gain levels in this class. When you spend a focus point, it is unavailable until you finish a short or long rest, at the end of which you regain all of your expended points. Some of your martial focus features require your target to make a saving throw that resists the feature's effects. The saving throw DC equals 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your wisdom modifier. I will say I do kind of like the idea that the monk has like wisdom as a channeling point for some of their features. I think it's really cool. It can make it a little difficult, and I did actually play around with this idea of kind of negating wisdom a little bit and just channeling a lot of these things through strength or dex. But I really like that, the monks, I mean, you're a monk, right? You're kind of in the elevated kind of existence. You've almost kind of sworn to some sort of way of life or whatever it is. And so I think wisdom being a kind of a fundamental stat is a cool way to for RP and various things. And I like that you can channel almost that in your abilities. And so I did end up leaving it. It can be kind of difficult to have to pull your stats through not only your primary, whether it's strength or dex, but then also con if you want to be more of a front line and a little bit more tanky, but also wisdom. But I think it's good, and I mean, the monk is a very good class, and so I think having to spread those points a little thin is not the end of the world by any means. But moving on, flurry of blows. You can spend 1 focus point to make 2 unarmed strikes as a bonus action. Patient defense. You can take the disengage action as a bonus action. You can enhance this feature by spending 1 focus point, allowing you to disengage and dodge as the same bonus action. Step of the wind, you can take the dash action as a bonus action. You can enhance this feature by spending 1 focus point, allowing you to dash and disengage as the same bonus action. Using a focus point for step of the wind also doubles your jump distance till the start of your next turn. These actually have been revised a bit, and I actually really like where they are now. So in the 2014 version, flurry blows was the same, but patient defense, basically you can use a key point to do the dodge action. As a bonus action, step of the wind, basically you could use a disengage or dash action as a bonus action. They now baked into a baseline that the monk can now take the disengage action as a bonus action, and they can also take the dash action as a bonus action, but then you can fuel those features in order to do additional things, which is really cool, really good, making those even better. So moving on here, level 2, unarmored movement. Your speed increases by 10 feet while you aren't wearing armor or wielding a shield. This bonus increases when you reach certain monk levels as shown in the monk table. That is unchanged. Level 3, deflect attacks. You can use your reaction to deflect any attack against you that deals bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing damage. When you do so, the damage you take from the attack is reduced by 1d10 plus your strength or dexterity modifier plus your monk level. If you reduce the damage to 0, you can spend 1 focus point to redirect the attack toward another creature. If you do so, for a melee attack, choose a creature within 5 feet to redirect the attack to. For a ranged attack, choose a creature within 60 feet of yourself that isn't behind total cover. That creature must succeed on a dex saving throw or take damage equal to 2 rolls of your martial arts die. Damage is the same type dealt by the attack. Gooby is standing. This is a super cool adjustment. They actually made it so that... So in the Unearthed Arcana, it is the same as Deflect Missiles as it was before. But I was looking at the 2024 version of the Deflect Missiles feature, and they broadened it to deflect attacks. So awesome. I like the fact that not only can you deflect, projectiles, but you can also be in there in the front lines, just moving, redirecting weapons and blades and stuff. I think it's so cool for the monk to be able to just do that in terms of how the DM can explain it. Oh, it's super awesome. So I added that, kept that in mind. Super cool. I like that a lot. Level 3 is going to be the monk subclass, unchanged. Level 4 is going to be the ability score improvement. And then Level 4 is going to be Redirected Impact. You've learned how to effectively redirect your energy upon impact. Immediately after hitting the ground from a fall, you can use your reaction to reduce the damage taken by half. I adjusted that from slow fall. I think that falling, though I do like the idea that the monk is dexterous, they have this ability to kind of redirect their energy, the flow of the inertia and stuff like that. I like that a lot, but I think slow fall, just in my opinion, was just kind of strange in terms of, like, if you didn't have a way to necessarily describe it, maybe via environment or whatever it is, the case may be. It's just kind of a little goofy, in my opinion, the fact that you can just kind of jump off of a cliff and then, negate so much damage. I do think that fall damage and your environment should dictate certain things, and so the fact that you can still reduce the damage, it does, it is still a feature, because I do like that mechanically. I kind of adjust it in a way to make it make a little bit more sense role-playing wise. So, all right, moving on. Level 5 is going to be the extra attack that you get, which is unchanged. Level 5 is going to be Stunning Strike. Drawing in your focus, you've learned how to pinpoint an enemy's weakness and cripple them with it. Once per turn, when you hit a creature with a monk weapon or unarmed strike, you can spend 2 focus points to attempt a Stunning Strike. A target must succeed on a Constitution saving throw or have the stunned condition until the start of your next turn. If the target succeeds on their saving throw, their speed is halved until the start of your next turn, and the next attack against the target is made with advantage. So, yes, and so they actually did adjust it in the UA. It was basically the same thing as before in the 2014. However, they made it so you couldn't just Stunning Strike every single attack on your turn. You do have that limit of once per turn, which I like as well. I like that they drew that back a little bit instead of, I'm just going to just keep blitzing through these attacks, and at some point I'm going to stun lock your boss, and then I'm just going to beat the hell out of it. I do like that. There's a little bit of a limitation to it now. But I did see that in the 2024 version, they actually made it so that regardless of whether you pass or fail, there is some sort of debuff for the creature. And I do like that. And because of that, though, I did make Stunning Strike 2 discipline points. I did increase the cost there. One, so that you couldn't just spam it as much as as much as before, but also because you're getting something whether it passes or fails. And so I think it's just to kind of round that out, make it a little bit more balanced, I did increase the cost of that. Level 6 is going to be Acrobatic Movement. While you aren't wearing armor or wielding a shield, you gain a climb speed equal to your speed. Additionally, whenever you use your Step of the Wind or Sweeping Water's flow abilities, you now ignore the effects of difficult terrain. So that was actually going to be a 9th level feature, but I switched it because before it was basically you can run vertically up surfaces or run across water, and though that is very, like, I guess cool, and like it's really cool, but it just, for me, it just broke kind of the realms of it just broke certain things that I didn't necessarily want to pass the threshold on. Able to just run across water is just kind of goofy. I think it was just just a lot. It was just a lot, and so I dumbed it down. I made it more, kind of played into a little bit more of the actual mechanics of D&D, and then I pushed it to 6th level. You get it a little bit earlier, and so I just kind of grounded that back a little bit more, so that way you're not just, spurring up mountains, doing backflips off them with slow fall or running across water. It just was getting kind of a little bit out of hand, in my opinion. So I kept it, but adjusted it. Level 6 is going to be your subclass feature. Level 7 is going to be Evasion. When you are subjugated to an effect that allows you to make a dexterity saving throw to take only half damage, you instead take no damage if you succeed on the saving throw, and only half damage if you fail. You don't benefit from this feature if you have the incapacitated condition. Evasion is a really good ability. It was the same. It was in there in the 2014, and it has remained there in the Unearthed Arcana, so unchanged does it remain in mind. Level 8, ability score improvement. Level 9 is going to be empowered strikes. You've learned to not only strike with physical power, but with raw, unmatched energy that pushes past all barriers. When you deal damage with your unarmed strikes, you can now deal your choice of force damage or its normal damage type. I think this is really good. I did push it to 9th level because I did feel like I pushed it to 9th level, not necessarily for balancing, but mainly just because I wanted the monk's class to progress a little bit differently. I wanted you to get acrobatic movement. I feel like that made more sense to get that earlier on than empowered strikes, and so I swapped those around. But I like empowered strikes. I think it really keeps the monk relevant as you get into the back half of D&D. If you were only to stick with your piercing or with your bludgeoning, piercing, slashing, or whatever it is, I guess for unarmed strike it'd be probably bludgeoning. But if you can negate some resistances to that, it would make the monk's power curve just drastically drop and it'd feel really bad as a player. And so being able to just use force, be able to overcome those with force damage is really cool. And it also kind of goes back to the whole like channeling your inner like powers and this inner kind of energy that you harness and are capitalizing on through your various monk abilities. So level 10 is to be self-restoration. Through a hyper-awareness of your body and mind, you can isolate your focus to negate effects that would disrupt your body's balanced state of being. Forgoing food and drink no longer gives you levels of exhaustion. Additionally, you can spend 2 focus points to use a bonus action to remove one of the following conditions from yourself: charmed, frightened, or poisoned. Alright, so first of all, in the Unearthed Arcana, you can just do this. You literally could just, a bonus action, get rid of that. Nope. I'm good. Which that's just insane to me. I think, a lot of those status effects, charmed, frightened, or poison, are fun ways to make encounters interesting, are fun ways that the DM can utilize to make something more difficult. And so just for you to be able to at any point in time basically essentially be immune to charmed, frightened, or poison, that's what it would have been if I had left it like that. You basically you might as well just give them the immunities to that now, because the bonus action, especially in a role-playing encounter, is essentially immediate and negated instantly. And so I wanted to bring it a little bit more into a balanced level. I like this idea. I do like the fact that the monk can have this kind of power over their body to be able to ward off these malicious effects, but it needs to come at some sort of cost. And so I did make it so 2 focus points, still a bonus action, but you can now remove charmed, frightened, or poisoned with the use of your resource. And I mean, at 10th level, you're having access to 10 focus points. You're getting 1 per level as you progress. And so, I mean, I think 2 focus points to negate one of those really harsh conditions is more than worth it. So moving on, level 10, heightened focus. The rigorous training and utilization, you can now push past your limit and perform more advanced versions of flurry of blows, patient defense, and step of the wind. Torrent of attacks. Immediately after you take the attack action on your turn, you can spend 2 focus points to make 3 unarmed strikes as a bonus action. Withstanding bulwark, you can take the disengage action as a bonus action. You can enhance this feature by spending 2 focus points, allowing you to disengage and dodge as the same bonus action, as well as gain temporary hit points equal to 2 rolls of your martial arts die. Sweeping Waters Flow, you can take the dash action as its bonus action. You can enhance this feature by spending 2 focus points, allowing you to dash and disengage as the same bonus action. Using focus points for Sweeping Waters Flow also doubles your jump distance till the start of your next turn. Additionally, you can also move 1 willing creature that's medium or smaller along with you until the end of your turn, and they don't provoke opportunity attacks as you do so. So, heightened focus, actually, I will say, was not in the Unearthed Arcana. I did see it in the 2024 version of the Monk, and I really liked it. I like the fact that you're keeping these early on features relevant late in the back half of the class. Love that. However, they had made it so that it was just basically an upgraded version of it. So the Torrent of Attacks was essentially, it was still Flurry of Blows, but you just got an extra unarmed strike. And so, though that's good, I wanted it to be a little bit more of a resource cost, so that way it comes at a cost. You can use the lower versions for cheaper, or you can use the more enhanced versions for a little bit more. And I think that's more than reasonable. I wanted to make sure it kind of was still in that balanced realm. And I think the additional things that you get from each of these is worth that extra focus point. And plus, it kind of, in my mind, also expanded your maneuver list a little bit as the monk. It kind of, it's either Flurry of Blows or you can use Torrent of Attacks. So they're kind of the same maneuver but slightly different. And so I kind of just wanted to also do that in the sense of flavoring for the monk. So, all right, level 11 is going to be the subclass feature. Level 12 is going to be the ability score improvement. Level 13 is going to be battle focus. When you roll initiative, you regain 6 expended focus points if you have none remaining. that is actually going to be the actually I think it's a little bit later here. Where was it? It was going to be, oh yeah, a 15th level perfect discipline. When you roll initiative, you regain 4 expended discipline points if you have none remaining. I increased it to 6. I put it at a lower level, mainly because, going back to what I said earlier, I wanted the monk to progress a little bit differently than how they had it progress in the Unearthed Arcana and even the 2014 version. I do like that. I do like that you can now gain a lot of those focus points back, a good chunk of them. And I increased it to 6 because if I'm gonna, increase the points cost for some of these other abilities, I didn't want to just, leave it at 4. 4, you wouldn't be able to do a whole lot, so I increased it just a little bit to kind of offset that in a way. So really good there. Level 14, Focused Overcomer. Your physical and mental strength, focus, and discipline grants you proficiency in all saving throws. Extremely good. Additionally, whenever you make a saving throw and fail, you can spend 1 focus point to re-roll it and take the second result. Incredibly good. Very, very good. That is going to be the... oh, that was going to be the Discipline Survivor here. So they're both at 14th level. Yep. Okay. Moving on, Amplified Metabolism. If you spend at least 1 minute resting, you can give yourself all the benefits of a short rest. Once you use this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. That is now at 15th level because before it was at 7th level for the Unearthed Arcana, and I thought that was way too early to have such a powerful feature, so I just pushed it towards the back, kind of towards more the back half of the class. Level 16 is going to be Ability Score Improvement. Level 17 is going to be a subclass feature. Level 18 is going to be Superior Defense. And so this is kind of where I kind of got a little bit more homebrewy with the monk here, kind of in the back half towards the capstone. So Superior Defense, my version is going to be you hone in your focus, gearing it towards deflecting attacks and negating strikes. As a bonus action, you can spend 4 focus points to bolster your defense for 1 minute or until you are incapacitated. During that time, you have +2 to your AC. The Unearthed Arcana version was you spend 3 discipline points, and for 1 minute you're resistant to all damage except force. And so I replaced that with Superior Defense. I like this a lot more in terms of balancing. I think that ability, being able to increase your AC is extremely good, especially for an unarmored defense class where you can throw in that wisdom too. You can have a pretty high AC just without any armor, and so being able to do even bump that up even higher with the Superior Defense feature is really good. Level 19 is going to be your Ability Score Improvement, and level 20 is going to be Body, Mind, and Soul. And this is where I kind of wanted to make sure that the 20th level, the capstone, and this is across the board for all my classes, I really wanted the capstone to feel like you achieved something by sticking the course, and that now you're hitting that epitome of what the class is. And so wanted to incentivize people for hardlining a class instead of maybe always multi-classing. So 20th level, Body, Mind, and Soul. You have perfected the state in which your body, mind, and soul find harmony, balance, and protection. You gain the following benefits. Elevated Existence. Your strength or dexterity, your choice, and wisdom scores increase by 2, and their new maximum is 22. Unshakable. You channel all of your focus to become nigh untouchable. As a bonus action, you can spend 12 focus points to perfectly bolster yourself against harm, damage, and malicious effects for 1 minute or until you are incapacitated. During that time, you have the following benefits. Your resistance to all damage types except force damage. The advantage on all saving throws. You are immune to the charmed, frightened, and poisoned conditions. On the duration, or once the duration for this feature expires, you gain 2 levels of exhaustion and cannot use this feature again until you finish 1d4 long rests. First thing, Elevated Existence, pushing that threshold, bridging you over that cap of what those normal abilities can kind of reach, pushing you over that threshold, always good, making you feel like you're kind of set apart being this 20th level character. And then Unshakable, I took a little bit of the inspiration from Superior Defense in the Unearthed Arcana, making it, obviously you're able to resist the you have resistance to all damage except force. I like that idea, but I wanted to make it even better as it is the capstone. I also wanted it to be a focus point cost that makes sense for what you're about to gain. 12 points, it's a little bit over half of your resource pool, but for what you're getting, totally worth it. And I really like the idea of a 20th level monk just like locking in and just becoming this just bastion, this defense, this like just elevated elevated individual in combat, just locked in. I just think it's just such a cool kind of. I think if the DM kind of flavors it and really leans into this, they can make it super cool in terms of like a the final boss of a campaign or whatever it is. I just think that's really cool. And then just kind of make sure it's a bit balanced. I did make it so that there is a little bit of an after effect. To ensure that you're not just spamming this ability. I mean, you can't really because of the point cost necessarily, but I did want there to be this kind of all-in kind of feature, and then there is a little bit of a repercussion there, but nothing insane. I did adjust kind of what the exhaustion levels and how they progress in terms of what the negative status effects are. So 2 levels of exhaustion and how I run it is as drastic as how D&D runs it, and I might make a video later about how I've kind of adjusted it, but yeah, so I think that's just super cool. And I think the monk now is in a really good spot. I will say the Unearthed Arcana 20th level capstone, I wasn't a fan of. Basically, if you drop to 0 hit points, you spend some discipline points, which they name discipline points, and you basically just come back. And you can just keep coming back. You keep getting hit, you keep coming back. I mean, anyway, that's all I will say about that. But yeah, that's the monk. I really like where it's at. I kind of like that it's a little bit more grounded. I think that some of the, I like the progression now with how it goes through. I like now how you get, where you unlock the features. I like how it start to finish, how it progresses. I think it makes a little bit more sense linearly. I really like where the monk is now, and so that's about it. I mean, if you like this this version, please feel more than free to leave something in the comments if you have maybe some constructive feedback, some adjustments that you might, that you think that would make sense or whatever it is. Feel more than free to leave those. And yeah, this file will be in the description of the video. And then of course I did make this using the Homebrew website, which is essentially just a website where you can make D&D styled files that kind of look like the player's handbook and the various books. And so that is about that for monk. Super cool. I like where it's at, and I think it's good. So, but that is where that's it. So I guess I'll see you in the next video.